And
Oh, yo,
I
B.
spoke of the Pandavas, so they were 5 brothers. They were married to one woman called Draupadi. So this is it polyandry? Is what it's called.
That's one word for it. I've got
Yes.
some other
Yeah.
words, but they'll be censored.
Okay, let's stick to polyandry
He's
then.
coming with the fire today.
Yeah, and guess how the war started? The eldest brother Yudhishthira, and Yudhishthira's title is Dharamraj. So this guy is like the maintainer, the upholder of dharma, of righteousness. 5 brothers married to one woman, Draupadi. During a during gambling, he loses everything. He loses his palace, his horses, all the maybe all the riches he had.
What he gambled? What he gambled his wife?
Ultimately, because he has lost everything, he gambled the only wife, which was shared by 5 brothers, away as well.
What kind of foolishness is this?
And this is how basically the war had started, as one of the factors of how the war started.
I thought women
And
were Bhagwan.
well, yeah, this is
Well, I mean, this is an
no, they
interesting
were property
question.
at that time.
So does this, because many of the justification for things that are called religious rituals come from what people did in these stories. So is that now an act of worship to gamble away your house and your family and all that? Like, is that a worship ritual? If not,
Well,
why not?
look at it this way. This guy was supposed to be, like we have the bishops in the churches, who uphold righteousness, or supposed to. They get these titles like defender of faith. For example, I think one of the titles of the king here is, or the queen who was there previously, was defender of the faith.
Rex
That's
Deus.
basically
Yeah.
their official title. Similarly, they have a title called Dharamraj, the upholder of dharma, the upholder of righteousness. And the eldest brother, Yudhishthira, who gambled his only wife that they shared between them, his title was upholder of righteousness. And he does this. Can you imagine what the others are doing? If this is the case with the one who was given this title, can you imagine the lay people, how far they'll fall?
Well, and this is why I asked, what justification is there for not taking it as an act of worship? Because somebody of the supreme righteousness, or not supreme, but somebody of a very high standing of righteousness in Islam, right? We're looking at the Sahaba, and we're saying, yeah, what they do, how they understand the right way to act. This is an example that we follow, and following it becomes part of our attempts to worship and become closer to the way Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did things, because their understanding is so good. So that logic holds and makes sense for me. This is part of why I practice the way I do. But if you were to apply this logic in Hinduism and look at this guy's example, you'd think, oh, well, he's a defender of the faith. He's such a great understanding of this stuff. And what he decided to do was gamble away his house and family. So maybe I should do the same. If you reject that from being part of the religion, then why? On what grounds? How?
Gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, Sometimes you get up in the morning, your financial problems, you go gamble your wife, you start a war with your family. Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, women were treated as property back then. Otherwise, they wouldn't think of gambling their wives away. So can you guys read the text here, or is it too tiny?
Not really. I can read the title.
Oh, really? Okay. What about the others? Can you guys read
it?
I've just got a tiny screen though.
Okay.
The only way I can mimic eye contact is having a teleprompter that I see the video in, so I can sort of.
All right, I'll read it for you. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, book 11, chapter 31, verse 19 to 20.
Shall I read it?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Srimad Bhagavatam, 11:31, 19 to 20. Text 19. Tormented by separation from the Lord, his parents gave up their lives at that very spot. My dear Pariksit, the wives of Yadavas, then climbed onto the funeral pyres, embracing their dead husbands. Text 20. The wives of Lord Balarama also lit the fire and embraced his body, and Vasudev's wives entered his fire and embraced his body. The daughters-in-law of Lord Hari entered the funeral pyres of their respective husbands, headed by Pradyumna and Rukmini, and the other wives of Lord Krishna, whose hearts were completely absorbed in him, entered his fire.
Okay. So do you see
Mashallah,
the?
that was audible quality reading. That is,
You know what I'm saying?
That's pretty
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Sound like AI for a second.
I'm going to replace my AI with Zishan now.
With you mean you're with actual intelligence? That's what AI
Yes.
should stand for. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, as you see at the last paragraph, or the last line, 2 lines, it says, "And Rukmini and the other wives of Lord Krishna." This is what I was, alluding to earlier. Rukmini is one of the wives, primary wives of Krishna, and when he died, she entered the fire along with the other wives as well. And we see 2 things here. Number 1, the god dies. Number 2, the wives enter the fire and commit suicide. Okay, don't know if it makes sense to our Hindu, friends out there, but maybe they can come and explain to us what's happening here. I mean, why are they entering the fire when they are, like, there's no need for them to enter the fire. Why would they enter the fire? Like, are they really that sad? If you're
No, but
sad,
Hashim, you
go and
don't
cry it out.
understand.
Why kill yourself?
No, but it's love. It's pyar. You don't understand, Hashim. Like, you're using today's standards to measure by that. You don't get it. That's the problem.
Yeah, maybe I don't get it. I'm a simple-minded person. When I see people commit suicide for no reason, I would be inclined to at least stop them.
It's not.
I don't know.
But
Yeah.
it's pyar though. It's love. It's when you're so absorbed in something, it's you just do it, Hashim. That's
Yeah, you're blinded by love.
Whether it's for no reason or for this reason, I would still try and stop them.
Absolutely.
But why
Right.
would you? Don't stop the love.
That's what I'm saying, bro. It's pyar. It's love, man.
Yeah, too much PR, blind love is not good sometimes.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't accept this love is love. If someone says they really love their dog and it's in a way that I think is very unhealthy, then I'm going to try and stop them.
Right. So for the sake of time, we are going to just read the highlighted bits here. So, Brother Zishan, if you want to do the honors, please.
Absolutely. Mahabharat 125:33. Wife of Bandhu ascended in the funeral pyre of her husband. Kunti then said, I
Oh
am
no,
the
not the
Lord-"
whole thing, just the highlighted bit.
The
at the end.
highlighted, yeah?
Yeah.
Just make it a bit bigger.
Okay. Oops. There.
Okay. Vesampayana continued, having said this, the daughter of the king of Madras, the wedded wife of Pandu, ascended the funeral pyre of her lord, that bull among men.
Mhm. So this is from Mahabharata. Again, like I said, this is where Krishna would have been present if he didn't die at that point, if he's still alive. But yeah, I mean, at least, if the whole idea of a Bhagwan or an avatar coming to the earth is to get rid of the evil and to bring in righteousness. But here the exact opposite is happening. Today, the reason most Indians, most Hindus have given up this evil practice of widow burning, or widow committing suicide, it speaks volumes, isn't it? It shows them that the reality is that in our age, they say this is the Kali Yuga. This is like the age of darkness. And whereas Krishna would have been in a better epoch, in a better era, where there is righteousness, because he was amongst them.
Well,
But here
here's
the
what's,
exact opposite is
what's really
happening.
interesting is they didn't give this up until colonialism. And actually, ironically, one of the few benefits, in my view, is is that not a historical fact? They were doing this right up until the colonialist takeover,
Nah,
and then
but
their rules are the
technically
ones that
speaking-
stop this.
Yeah, but technically speaking, they did it because
Out of
of their own free will. They did it. It's not like they were
Well,
commanded.
this is the thing.
to.
It's free will to accept the moral superiority of colonialism over their previous practices.
Ah, that's the problem with Muslims.
He's being sarcastic. Just so you know, brother.
Even with my
Muslims.
autism, I can tell he's being sarcastic.
Alhamdulillah. Right. Let's see the Guruda Purana. Go ahead, Brother Zishan. Just the highlighted bit.
Garuda Purana 107. Or on his loss of manhood or moral degradation, a wife immolating herself with the dead body of her husband at the same funeral pile shall live in heaven for as many number of years as there are hairs on the human body. Body, body, body.
Oh dear. I don't know. Was that out of shock? Okay.
Nah, I thought I'd just add a little sound effect.
I think that was excellent. In
So,
that
yeah,
picture, am I
as you can see,
mistaken, or
this-
is she holding a child as well?
No, she's praying. She's got her
Yeah.
hands folded.
Oh, okay. It looked like she was swaddling a child.
Yeah, that'll make it bigger for you.
Ah, yeah, no, I see. She's just praying. So I wonder what happened to the children if the wives go into the fire. So the husband's gone, the wife's gone. What happened to the children?
No idea. I mean, basically, I'm assuming they had big families. So
Yeah, it just seems odd that it's another one of these moral imperatives.
Yeah.
You're leaving your children as orphans instead of leaving the wife to look after them.
So this is again from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Again,
It's PR, bro. PR.
Sati. So Sati practice again being justified in this book. Go ahead, Brother Zishan.
Sati, okay. Sati, Srimad Bhagavatam 428:50. She then prepared a blazing fire with firewood and placed the dead body of her husband upon it. When this was finished, she lamented severely and prepared herself to perish in the fire with her husband.
The poor woman didn't even get help for preparing the firewood and the fire itself. She's preparing her own death, basically. This is a different book. This is Valmiki Ramayana. This is where Ram comes in, the story of Ram and Sita. Yeah, go ahead, Brother Zishan.
Valmiki Ramayana 366:12. I too, devoted as I am to my husband, shall accordingly meet my destined end this very day. Nay, embracing this body of my husband, I shall enter the fire that will be prepared for his funeral.
So yeah, even Valmiki Ramayana kind of, it justifies this evil practice of sati, where the widow has to throw herself in the funeral pyre of her dead husband, unfortunately. And then we got Devi Bhagavatam. So these are basically the books or the scriptures for the goddesses. Like there is an entire sect within Hinduism called Shakta, and they worship Shakti Ma or Durga Ma or Kali, as she's known by several different names. So yeah, Devi Bhagavatam, which is again, it should be like pro women. Even that encourages this evil practice, unfortunately. Yeah, go ahead, Brother Zishan.
Devi Bhagavatam 6:25:35-50. Madri entered the funeral pyre and died as Sati. Once Madri, full of youth and beauty, was staying alone in a solitary place, and Pandu, seeing her wife, embraced her, and due to the curse, died. When the funeral pyre was ablaze, the chaste Madri entered into the fire and died a Sati.
Yeah, there you go. Unfortunately, it's this is for them dharma, as you can see. It's advocated by their own scriptures, by the Hindu scriptures, and not some ritual tradition or culture that they followed back then. This has to be serious. I mean, who would like to follow a culture or tradition which is not necessary but just optional? They do this. Throwing yourself in the fire is no small thing. It's something extremely serious. They would have only done this if it was part of the religion, not something cultural or tradition which could be optional. It has to be mandatory in that particular time that they lived, And most of this, as you have seen, the Bhagwans were around, Ram was around, Krishna was around, maybe Shaktima was around, So it's crazy. It's definitely part of the religion.
It reminds me of the ones who would, the juggernauts they had, where they, had the big temples on wheels, and people would throw themselves under the wheels as well.
Yeah.
It's very, very strange for the religion to encourage self-death in this way.
Right.
But it's interesting to note, of course, that it's very difficult to argue that it's just cultural, because the entire background of it is religious. The benefit for it is religious. It's about the afterlife. It's not about just feeling sad, or anything like that, or feeling lost without your husband. It's about that quote we just read about the number of hairs on the male, and how long she'll stay in this ultimate place, and so on. So it really is very clearly a religious practice, in which case what's happened to what we see as Hinduism today? Does that mean they've compromised their religion for the sake of culture, or does it mean how would you argue this was just culture?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It wouldn't be culture, because culture normally is optional. It's not mandatory. Only when it's something that is dogmatic, as these Sati practices that we see in their books, in the scriptures, it must be mandatory within their societies, definitely at that time.
It doesn't have to be mandatory for everyone to do it in order for it to be a religious practice or expected duty, because people can
No, I'm talking
fail
about
in their
the
religion.
people who are doing it. They must have considered it to be mandatory. Because if it was optional, then they would have opted out, most likely, because I don't think anybody wants to jump in a fire and burn.
That's interesting, because I thought it was, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it was optional, but because they believed in the benefits of it, and because of what people perceived, they chose to do it. Or chose in inverted commas, because often the choice was accompanied by like 6 men pushing them, but the stories are written as if they walked themselves,
Yes, these were all, so it was voluntary. It wasn't forced upon them. Yeah.
In the stories, but in a lot of the historical Sati that's been documented, it was very clearly not some woman walking on their own with no coercion.
But I think what you're referring to is most likely closer to our times. We are talking about thousands of years before us, from their historic perspective, where it was part and parcel of their societies. And that's the reason, when a husband dies, more or less the value of the woman is reduced to nothing. And she would rather die than to live a life of sorrow and misery and, deprivation, discrimination, you name it. Everything wrong under the sun is faced by these poor widows who would rather die than
but they're not just poisoning themselves, they're doing the most painful, terrible way to go. So there's something more to it.
And then
maybe they don't get rewarded in their in their paradise or in their heavens if they take poison and get the easy way out.
And the thing is that when the religious precepts are so unclear, it's easier for people to manipulate what's there, and they can extrapolate and add baggage on. And it's the same with Sati. Sati is no exception to this rule. Yes, they can make it seem like, yep, it's the choice of the woman, quote unquote choice. But in many, many cases, Sati has been obligated and enforced upon the woman. I mean, just in India, if you look, this happened in 2024, I think. There was an article, and the people that follow the news, they'd probably know, well, Indian news, that the case of Roop Kanwar, where she was burned to death on her husband's funeral pyre. So she didn't have a choice in the matter. But again, the people around her thought, you know what, this is something religiously significant. That's why. And it's not that it's done on it's not some random site, some Hindu-phobic site. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. These are the scriptures,
Roop Kanwar.
And we are giving the references as well. Yeah. So read this one, Brother Zishan, Agni Purana.
Agni Purana 2.20 222, 19 to 23. Rate her person. She should always be bent on the worship of God.
Sorry, it's decorate. Sorry. So
Was
it's
it?
been corrected. Yeah. A widow as well as the wife of a man who has gone abroad should not decorate her person.
Is it decorate, yeah?
Yeah.
She should. So what's the word
You,
that's
you missed the hyphen. It's deco hyphen rate.
Yeah.
Decorate.
Oh, she should always be bent on the worship of husband and the welfare of the husband. A woman whose husband has gone abroad should wear some ornaments for the welfare of the husband. The woman, the widow, who enters the funeral fire along with the dead husband would also reach heaven. Swarg.
Mm. Yeah.
Can you zoom out just so we can get the full reference?
Sure.
Yes.
There you go.
Perfect.
And yeah, I think that's.
But what if the husband doesn't reach this highest level? Does that mean she's not with him anymore, or she's in this level without him, or how does that work?
Well, that's a risk she'll have to take.
It's just quite a big assumption. My husband's definitely going to be at the highest level. Otherwise, the whole system breaks down, doesn't it?
It does, yes. But regardless, I think they probably, because if you saw that, it's if they are a widow, it doesn't matter what the husband is. If they follow the dharma, they follow the righteous duty of a widow. It's basically to burn herself alive in the funeral pyre of the husband. She will get heaven, as it says in the Agni Puran we just saw, and also in the previous one, as many as hair on the body, she will get that much reward or something. So yeah,
That's a
it's
lot of
definitely
reward.
that is a lot of reward. Yeah,
A lot
the
of
hairier
hairs
you
on the
are,
body,
the bigger the
especially in
reward.
India. We're very hairy people.
Yeah, and the hairier you are, the bigger the reward.
Absolutely. There you go.
Well, I'm gonna head out.
Was that Ali? What did he say? He's heading out.
Yeah, because you said Harry. I mean,
Oh, I see. Okay.
so I'm not the most.
Yeah, bowing out of this one.
Yeah, I'm out.
All right. So let's see what's the next. So yeah, I think maybe we can open for if there are any Hindus watching and they would like to respond. Maybe we can give them the option to to present their side of the scriptures or the narration or the interpretation, whatever you want to call. So inshallah, I'm going to post a link for the Q&A. We're giving priority to the Hindus as we always do during the topics on Hinduism. So if there are any Hindus out there who would like to join the panel for the Q&A, you're more than welcome. We just ask for one thing, to keep it respectful and to the topic, please. Do not change topics to something else, because we have an open Q&A next Thursday, as we always do for alternate Thursdays, where we give you guys the opportunity to ask questions on any topic, and you should make use of that particular Thursday to ask those questions which you want to ask today out of topic. So if it's on topic, we'll welcome it. If it's off topic, we'll tell you to come next Thursday. Okay, but either way, we're going to answer your question, inshallah. Right, so yeah, any thoughts on that, Brother Ali? You've been quiet most of the time.
My first thought is that Brother Zishan from now on is going to be, I want to hear it in his voice from now on until I read something like that. My second thought is, it doesn't really surprise me. I know I'm sound like a broken record this entire time whenever we have, whenever I'm here on these streams, but these are things that I see across many different mythologies. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. This idea alone of quote unquote the Sati, essentially, it still baffles me and it still mystifies me as far as how anybody can do something like this. But as far as research wise, there is nothing that has been read that I haven't read somewhere else when I'm learning about another mythological religion.
So did you find something similar in other religions?
Yes, most definitely. This from the idea of women alone without the man being less than nothing, essentially, the woman sacrificing themselves for that, and even this idea alone of what was that you read? He read something the first time that I was gonna take notes of it, but I kind of forgot about it. Dang it. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having a total.
Okay. There's it might be the thing I was going to ask you about, because there's interesting parallels and differences. I think there's a lot of cultures that took this or a variant of it from the Indus Valley in the first place.
Mm.
But then there's also things like the Viking rituals we saw, which, although they bear some parallels, for example, that the maidens who used to get drunk and be shared around other men, and then a witch would end up sort of carving her insides out and all that sort of stuff, and then they chuck them on the funeral pyre.
Mhm.
That's got some similarities, because the maiden's supposed to go with the fallen person, you know, over to Valhalla and so on.
Yes.
But it wasn't the wife, and it's also not really consensual at any point.
Oh, no.
There's nothing in there about, or that we know of, about this maiden's benefit for it either. It's just so there's, I guess, some similarity, but quite substantial differences.
Well,
in that.
let's be careful when you say she didn't have a choice, because many, even reading elsewhere, like for example, they also practice something similar in Egyptian mythology, even somewhat in Chinese mythology as well. So one thing they will say is that their woman will be happily to do it. So they a lot of them kind of hid alone when they say, oh, the woman would be gladly to do it for her husband. So they kind of change the word, they kind of change the narrative, as if she's more than willing to do so. But then it begs the question, what if she's not? Can she, just because she's happily to do it, that doesn't mean she doesn't, that doesn't mean she can say no.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
yeah.
I think the reason I mentioned that in the Viking rituals is because in those rituals they very specifically got her completely blind drunk. And that's why I'm saying in that state she can't consent, she can't, be, happy with it in a legitimate sense. I don't know about whether the other ones involved, various drugs or not.
But ultimately, the one, but Hashim, just to answer your question, the one mythology that reminds me the most of it, just like I was gonna say Norse as well, the Nordic mythologies, but another one that actually also gets to me is ancient Mesopotamia.
Are these the Vikings? Who are these?
Yes, these are
the Vikings.
Yeah, the Scandinavians. Another one that actually gets to me is the ancient Mesopotamians, the religion of, well, during the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam, with the stuff that they believed in, when Anki, Enlil, Marduk, and stuff like that. When it comes to the human worship, sacrificing themselves to the goddess Ishtar, where Easter comes from. But that's and of course, since Ishtar is the goddess of fertility, she would demand a whole lot of things for women to do when they're, especially, God forbid, they're not fertile, and if they're married and they're not able to give their husbands children. Well, let's just say it's over for the woman. Like, some of them will even say, even if the husband chooses, the woman can die, essentially, because she's nothing if she cannot be fertile. That's the essence of a woman, and she can essentially be not. She wasn't burned, but she was given away, so to speak. Her life was given away because she's nothing, essentially. So that's the one. Those are the two main mythologies that gets to me when I'm hearing Zishan beautifully mention this Hindu practice.
I wonder. It's interesting, this default blame of infertility on the women here. I wonder how many women they'd go through before they figure out that sometimes the guy's firing blanks.
Oh, and not even just fire blanks. It's about, because sometimes it's, hey, let's keep it PG. It's also about, for the longest time, they thought that the women were the ones that control the gender. So essentially, if you're not, like, a king would, as we can see today, even towards the medieval times, if a king has a daughter, the wife is blamed for the fact that it's a girl. And even back then, if part of it is also if the woman is not able to bear a son, they blame the woman for it.
Yeah, Henry VIII famously blamed.
Yeah. By the way, this practice of wife not giving sons to the family is something well known within Hinduism. A lot of women were basically killed as basically not giving them a son. So the in-laws would literally burn them to death. This is not voluntarily from the wife's side, obviously. It's something they think that it is a wife's fault because they're not getting any sons. And so if she bears first daughter, second daughter, that's it for them. Sometimes and I'm not talking about people in villages and stuff like this. These are well-educated people living in societies like civilized societies, and they would commit heinous crimes like that.
Mhm.
Recently
Certainly worth mentioning in that one, the pre-Islamic culture would
oh yes,
often kill off the
yeah,
females and young females and so on, and
yeah,
Islam came and specifically forbade that, and
yeah.
specifically gave
And
a
that's why that
great
was called
understanding.
the Jahiliyyah period, the
Yeah,
period of
period of
ignorance.
ignorance.
And in the Quran, Allah says that on the day of Qiyamah, these children, these girls are going to ask, what fault of mine, because of what was my fault that you buried me alive, that you killed
Mm.
me just for being a girl?
Yeah,
And this
and
is
I think
something
that's
that is, yeah,
it's a nice example of the religion standing up against culture, and
yeah,
because
against
it's really
injustice. Yes,
underestimated at the moment how much that went against the grain, and in ways that were somehow quite fundamental to their understanding
yeah,
of things. They said, no, it's not the woman's fault whether it's a boy or a girl born. It's up to Allah, and He chooses.
yeah,
And obviously the stuff about the blame, the stuff about the reasons for it, the stuff about it
yeah,
being illegitimate and it being outlawed. It's this is really the religion coming and standing up against the culture, and it's a really good example. And that I don't see that happening. Where in Hinduism do they have a history where their religion stood up against their culture? This comes back to this point we were saying, where there was no clear sort of divide or demarcation between culture and religion.
That's a beautiful point, actually, because even for me, I'm trying to think about this too, as far as what other religion goes against the established culture. That's a beautiful point, because in Hinduism, you have they see the cow as sacred, and I'll actually ask a question to you brothers. Do you think Hinduism especially would have, quote unquote, would focus on an animal that's not found anywhere near the Indus Valley?
what, a
Let's say,
cow?
for example, there's an animal. Hypothetically, there's an animal that's only
Focus
found.
on alligators.
That's something like that. Like, because Egyptian mythology, they have a god that has a crocodile's head. So, but essentially, I'm not sure. Let's say there's an animal that is
Alligators
only
not a
found
crocodile, man. Come on.
only North and South America. Do you think the Hindus in their religion, they will have a concept of that animal in their faith because they've never seen that animal?
I've never seen a temple that has a kangaroo goddess, for example.
Like a Hindu temple with a kangaroo or something like that.
Oh, koala bear. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll never
Yeah.
see it. So, and this goes with
Yeah.
Egyptians, because Egyptians they only go make their gods animals based upon the animals that are living around their region. But they'll never talk about animals, because if it's a universal religion, shouldn't it talk about animals you probably never seen before? Because apparently they're the God of everybody. No, when you limit yourself to only this,
No, the pharaohs
like
never put pandas in their.
Yeah, it's only regional animals.
Yeah.
And
Or the woolly mammoth. Manny.
Oh my God.
but
Manny
let's put it this way: they didn't have any blonde goddesses either.
Mm.
So it's
Yeah.
not just animals; it's also the humans, only around the culture.
Yeah.
Right. So,
The wider point then about this, where do religions stand up against culture? Because most of them, especially all of these false religions, they try and integrate with and take credibility from and justify the culture, and rarely stand up against it.
that's right.
So, but Islam very, very clearly did. Some of Christianity sort of did against the pagans, but actually in many cases they adopted and pagan rituals, and like Christmas, for example, other stuff like that.
I mean,
So
not only pagans, like until maybe a century or more ago, women were given away as property, rather than giving the rights of inheritance, which Islam has, confirmed within the Sharia for men and women.
yeah, but I didn't use that
in-
example because a lot of people can, especially with the Old Testament, biblically justify treating women as property still. So that's kind of in accord with the religion.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, alhamdulillah, Islam has always upheld the right of both men and women in all respects, and where even people will say, why does a brother get double the inheritance compared to the sister? They don't realize that maybe at face value it might seem unjust to you, but on the shoulders of the brother rests, the welfare of the entire family. After the father passes away, the burden comes on the the brothers many times, and they have to provide from their own inheritance um, all the expenses. The sisters can keep the expense, the inheritance intact. Same with the wife. It's not for the wife, even if she's rich. It is not mandatory for her to provide for the family. That particular task or role is primarily that of the man, of the husband in the family. So yeah, it's not that they get double the inheritance because of some discrimination against the women. No, it's the other way around. The men have to bear all financial burdens within the family for the mother, for the sisters, for basically their children and so on. And that's the reason they have to give from their own inheritance
That is so sexist.
portions. Yeah. So it's equity that we look at, not normally equality, because if that was the case, then people will think that would be unfair if you look at it holistically.